Once upon a time, nestled high in the Himalayas, there was a serene Buddhist monastery, known for its silence and stillness. The wind whispered through the pine trees, and the only sounds were the distant chants of monks echoing through the mountain air. Among the monks was a young disciple named Tenzin, barely 20, who had joined the monastery in search of truth and liberation. Tenzin was sincere, curious, and full of youthful energy. He meditated daily, learned scriptures, and served his master with devotion. But like every journey, the path of inner peace too was filled with hidden tests. And Tenzin's test came when he least expected it. Each morning, monks descended the mountain trail into the village below to collect alms. One sunny morning, Tenzin reached a cottage near the river, where a woman opened the door. She was around the same age as him, with soft eyes, a radiant smile, and long dark hair dripping with water. She had just bathed in the river. She wore a simple yet elegant sari that clung to her still wet skin. Tenzin froze. His breath caught. He had never felt anything like this before. The image of her lingered in his mind long after he returned to the monastery. Though monks were advised to visit different homes daily, the next morning, Tenzin returned to the same house. The woman greeted him warmly again. Her kindness was genuine. She offered rice and fruit with folded hands. But Tenzin's mind was no longer calm. Her beauty haunted his meditations. Her smile echoed in his silence. Day by day, his desire grew. One morning, he arrived at her door too early. She answered and said gently, "Oh, venerable sir, I haven't yet bathed." "Kindly wait. I'll return shortly from the river." As she left, Tenzin hesitated, and then followed her from a distance. Hiding behind trees, he watched her step into the river, her form moving gracefully in the morning light. A part of him whispered, "This is wrong," but the stronger voice said, "Just once more." This became his secret ritual. He would hide, watch her, and then pretend to arrive as she returned. Over time, his eyes grew restless, his thoughts impure, and his focus during meditation began to crumble. He avoided his fellow monks. He stopped seeking wisdom. He lived in shadows, both in the forest and in his mind. But a true master always observes in silence. One day, his guru, the old master Norbu, noticed the change in Tenzin. Without a word, the master followed him down the mountain trail. From behind a rock, he witnessed it all. Tenzin's hiding, the woman's innocent bathing, and the boy's eyes filled not with peace, but with longing. The master did not confront him there. Instead, as Tenzin turned to leave, he found Norbu standing behind him. Tenzin's heart stopped. His legs trembled. Words failed. Norbu said nothing. He simply gestured for Tenzin to follow. They walked in silence until they reached a large, muddy pond. The master looked at the still water and said, "Tenzin, cross this pond and come back." Confused but obedient, Tenzin began removing his robe. "Why are you removing your robe?" the master asked. "So it doesn't get dirty, master. This water is filthy." Norbu looked at him, eyes deep with compassion, and said, "You care so much for this robe, yet you let your mind, far more precious, be stained by your desires." Tenzin lowered his gaze, tears forming. Norbu pointed to the muddy water. "Lust is like this pond. At first it seems harmless, but once you step in, it clings. You think you can just see, just watch, but soon it pulls you in, deeper and deeper. The robe you can wash, but the mind, once polluted, takes time and pain to cleanse." Tenzin fell to his knees. "Master, I am ashamed. I've failed." The old monk placed a hand on his shoulder. "No, my child. Falling is not failure. Staying fallen is. Now rise." From that day, Tenzin turned inward. He confessed, fasted, meditated, and fought his inner battle. The temptations did not disappear overnight, but slowly, with patience and practice, the fire of desire lost its fuel. Years later, Tenzin became a revered teacher, calm, wise, and full of compassion. Whenever young monks struggled, he would tell them, "Victory over others is easy. Victory over oneself is eternal. Your desires are not demons, but they must be tamed, not obeyed. Feed the soul, not the senses. The path of peace is narrow, but it leads to the highest freedom." In today's world, where bad imagery is everywhere, on phones, screens, and social media like Instagram feeds, young minds often struggle with controlling their desires. But just like Tenzin, the way out begins with awareness. The more you feed the mind with lustful content, the more it becomes a habit. But if you stop feeding it and instead focus on mindfulness, meditation, and purpose, you can win this inner war. Control your thoughts before they control your life. Can you do it?